So may I start?
I often finish myself. It's just more, yeah, please.
Thank you, sir, for allowing me to start this event. Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Distinguished Coordinator General of YC comstech, honorable speakers, and honorable participants, and honorable my dear colleagues. Assalamu alaikum. A very good afternoon to you all. I am Rakibul Hassan, working as a junior program manager at YC comstech. It's my privilege to welcome to you all, including policymakers, researchers, academicians, students, and experts from YC member states and other regions. Without further delay, let me invite to you all to join me for the official opening of this webinar, beginning with recitation of Holy Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان الشمس والقمر بحسبان والنجم والشجر يسجدان والسماء ضاع الميزان ألا تطغوا في الميزان وأقيموا الوزن بالقسط ولا تخسروا الميزان صدق الله العظيم.
Now I would like to invite His Excellency Coordinator General of YC comstech, Professor Dr. Muhammad Iqbal Chaudhry, sir, who is the Prize Laureate and a distinguished professor, to deliver his opening remarks. Sir, the floor is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is a distinct honor that we have a very distinguished speaker from our brotherly country, Bangladesh, and that he is among the top scientists of Bangladesh. It just happened that he was visiting Pakistan. He was in Karachi, and then we requested him to come and visit us in Islamabad as well. This is his first visit, but certainly not the last one. And we expect him to come back more often for a longer period of time. So as we requested him on a very short notice of giving a presentation today, he has very kindly accepted. And I think this add into the comstech archive of good lectures, and that I'm sure you would all be able to benefit from what he would present. Professor Dr. Muhammad Sirajul Islam is from North South University, which is a member of Comstech Consortium of Excellence. He has been serving as a professor and the director of CIRS, and he had many positions before that in North South University. I don't really go to that, but because he has been associated with North South University since last 20 years or so. From the genesis of that institution, I believe that he was among the first few who joined North South University, and that he has been the founding director of various centers. He was the dean, and many other important positions which he hold and has been instrumental in the excellence of that institution. Dr. Islam started his career as a researcher at the Institute of Water and Flood Management in a very prestigious university, which is Bangladesh University of Engineering and Technology. He was selected as an assistant engineer, so he actually worked in the field as well for the local government through Public Service Commission. And in 1997, then he decided to move forward and Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering, Shah Jalal University. So he decided to move to academia at Sylhet, and then later on, he completed his master from a very prestigious institution, which is called National University of Singapore, which is among the top 100 institutions of the world, according to KIOS ranking. He moved from there to University of Tokyo, again, a very prestigious institution. And then after PhD, he decided to come back to his country, which is again praiseworthy. So he actually worked with many institutions abroad, but eventually decided to come back and serve Bangladesh, which we all appreciate, as he was able to contribute in many ways. He has worked on large number of projects, nationally funded and internationally funded, including World Bank project, Asian Development Bank, and others. And he has been consultant to many development projects related to infrastructure, water resource management, planning, and others. Dr. Siraj published widely in different prestigious international journals, conference proceedings, wrote book chapters, and popular article for science popularization. His total write-up exceed over 100 research paper. Is presently serving as the editor general of water management modeling, computational hydraulics international, Canada, which are the Scopus Index journal. He visited large number of countries, and we are so absolutely delighted that he is with us at YC Comstech. Most importantly, he shared the mission. He understands that this is through science and technology and good governance that we can make the difference. And in this point of time of history, the Muslim world need science, technology, and its application for the benefit of people. And in this endeavor, Dr. Siraj is contributing. With this, I would like to invite him for his presentation. Thank you.
মাইক কোথায়? মাইক। ও আচ্ছা। Assalamu alaikum and very good afternoon to all of you. Thank you, Professor, His Excellency Professor Iqbal Choudhury, to be very generous to introduce me. It was really wonderful to visit in Comstech. Uh, I hope it is not the last visit, and surely we'll continue to collaborate in different ways. Now, first of all, I would, regarding my Pakistan tour, I should introduce a little bit about the guy who actually, his name is Sharosh Ladi. How to put it? You can. Oh, okay. Now it's better. I met him in Mexico last June, and then he actually insisted me to come Pakistan, and then I came to Karachi at his university. He was vice chancellor of NED University of Engineering and Technology. But it doesn't mean that we have no. Of course, we have other connections with. Should be this one. Okay. Yeah. Which one? Oh, but we have connection with comstech as well. You can see the Professor Iqbal is here at North South University in the last few months back, and and he is with the advisor, the ministers and others people, and he delivered lectures, attended sessions, and some exchange with Professor Hannan, our vice chancellor. And Professor Hannan also visited my university vice chancellor also visited Comstech. So we have a very strong relation for quite a long time. So this may be the continuation, my visit may be the continuation of it. And Professor Hamnan even enjoyed the rural life of Pakistan. And finally, I am here. So that's all about a brief introduction of our relationship. Now the serious issues, the climate change and disaster, how does it relate and how it is affecting South Asia. There's issue. So I actually divided my presentation into 4 parts. I'll follow one after that. By the way, I am in rush little bit because me and Professor Iqbal, both of us will rush into the airport by 5 actually. That's why if I would have longer time, that it would be nice to continue the discussion on this topic. Well, the first is climate change and natural disaster global trend. And how does it relate to South? Let's see that in recently, since 2022 to 2025, there is some almost every year South Asia suffers from natural disaster. And Pakistan at least 2 times in 2022 and 2025, there were severe floods. And this caused for like 2022 around 1,700 fatalities, millions of affected, and billions of dollars has been economic losses every flood, and especially 2025 also. I'm not sure whether the assessment has been done. There will be use. Now, what happened to overall picture of South Asia as a whole historically? Okay, this was published in 2022 probably, the climate risk index, global climate risk index. As you can see, Bangladesh is number 7. And our friend is just after us, Pakistan and Nepal. So out of 10, 3 South Asian countries. So South Asia used to be most climate vulnerable disaster prone countries. And what about flood? There are 6 countries few years back, UNDP, they have identified. Let's see, Bangladesh number 6, Pakistan number 3, Afghanistan number 2, India. There been out of 6, 4 countries from South Asia. It's very devastating. I mean, very bad condition. South Asia is under threat actually for different types of disaster. And if we look at the global trend since 2024, that the natural disaster is increasing day by day. And this part is the yellow part is the flood, and you can see the flood has increased significantly, and also the extreme weather event. The another big part. And if we look further into another trend, that hydrological disaster, Hydrological disasters are actually getting more steeper rise. That means flood, drought, both are actually hydrological disaster, water-related disaster. And Asia is the most severe affected one. Asia. There are some continental evaluation few years back by IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, that 1970 versus 2030, how different parts of the world will be affected. You can see that huge change. In terms of percentage change, Africa will be affected as well. This percent change is very big. You see Europe, the percent change is very little. Okay, percentage change is not as much. But Asia, in terms of number and percentage, both. Now, this is a very recent, in 2022 published GIA, Global Assessment Report of multi-hazard risks, flood as well as few other. And red means very bad condition. Which continent do you think the most vulnerable one? Asia. Okay. You go further, South Asia. It is again the most darkest part, and Bangladesh is the most darkest part. So that's why I'm here to lecture on natural disaster, because we are very much familiar with natural disaster and how to live with natural disaster. So this is how actually the different assessment shows that South Asia is very much vulnerable to natural disaster. Now it can be explained what is natural disaster. I just want to introduce a little bit of the fundamental understanding of disaster, climate, and development. Now, climate development calls for greenhouse gas emission, climate impact to weather and climate events, and then a disaster again affect economy. So it's a vicious circle, you can say, or some sort of like this. But how to define disaster again? Some people has a misunderstanding that okay, a flood over, this is what disaster. No, the height of water, shaking of the earth, velocity of the wind, these are the natural events. But it cannot be a disaster until it is exposed to some valuables. That is called exposure. Let's say in a remote island there is a cyclone, there nobody lives. It will not come into the news because it has no economic losses. So exposure is important. How vulnerability, on the other hand, is the coping capacity of the community. Let's say an earthquake occurred in Dhaka versus an earthquake occurred in Tokyo. Why do you think most people will die? Dhaka, because Dhaka is not prepared. The buildings are not properly designed. The fire service department is not as effective, or rescue operation is not as good. Roads are narrow and so on. So this is called vulnerability. So the impact of a natural hazard, that is this one. I'll tell you that it is HEVR. That is a function of at least three factors. Now, why I am introducing is called SREX. That is actually covered SREX. There is an IPCC report where this proposal has been proposed. This model has been proposed, and fortunately, I had the opportunity to work for this. But this is an IPCC report. You know, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. They are the highest authority in the world to deal with climate change issues. And they published report, assessment report 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 last year.
Why did you remove the set of hypotheses?
Okay, if it's possible, otherwise it's okay. You can. Okay. It should be okay now. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. So IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, is published report on scientific, on all the peer review or article based on those who are familiar with know, these are very important, because whatever IPCC says, the other used to follow it, because it is intergovernmental, it's an UN body, and there are 300 to 500 scientists at several locations involved. Unfortunately, I had the chance to serve as an expert reviewer of this. You can see Bangladesh. You can see my name, MD Sirajul Islam. Okay, if you cannot see, you can see that MD Sirajul Islam from Bangladesh, North South University. I was there, okay, in this IPCC report. Then I had another report, very important report, global warming of 1.5 degree. There is also an IPCC report. I had the opportunity again to serve there. MD Sirajul Islam, you can see there are people from Pakistan, there are people from Harvard University, 2 people, Kennedy School, Yale, and different part of the world. So what IPCC proposed is this model that disaster actually amplify at least for a natural event at least amplify at least for two factors. It's called AGV. Okay, so I already explained this. Now, why South Asia is the any natural event becoming so severe? Because its population is 1/4, very densely populated area. You can see that 1/4 of the global population live in South Asia. It's called riverine civilization. Riverine civilization means people live near to the rivers, and river-based agrarian agriculture society has been developed. Let me show you the population density of Pakistan. It's mostly around in those river and in the surrounding area. Similarly, if you look at India, pointer is there? This is pointer.
Yes.
Oh, okay. This is nothing but Ganges River. Okay, this is the Ganges River, and then the population density is maximum. Okay, so riverine society based on river and close to river and agriculture. So this is another reason why, and population 1/4 of the world, more than around 2 billion out of 8 billion. Okay, so 1/4. Again, the vulnerability is also not very bad condition because we are mostly poor economy. Implementation of laws are not as there is no land zoning and other things. So the vulnerability levels, coping capacity is minimum. They cannot cope with the just like earthquake. Okay, so this is why the South Asia flood in South Asia is becoming more severe, and also its geographical location. I'll explain now that how geographical location like Asian monsoon, climate change, and global local impact like cloud outburst, this type of phenomenon is happening in South Asia because of its location, and then its exposure, then its vulnerability. Now, recent was climate change or other. This is a question that whether it was because of climate change or whether the phenomenon have some relationship with climate change. This is a very important question. Now, first of all, how precipitation occur in Asia? It's called Asian monsoon. It's a very unique nature of occurrence of precipitation. And this is because of nothing but the differential temperature between Eurasian landmass and the surrounding ocean. Eurasia is the largest landmass among the continents. Is the largest, then Africa, then North America, then South America, then Australia in terms of total landmass. So its heating potential is huge, and that cause for Asian monsoon one side of Himalaya and the other side of Himalaya. I'll explain why this how this affect precipitation. And this Himalaya again played an important role in terms of precipitation occurrence. It's called orographic precipitation. So the moist air goes up, rise, precipitation occurs. It's called windward side, and in the windward side, the entire South Asia, and the leeward side, where dry air goes, no precipitation. This is actually the barren areas. You can see Tibet and Gobi Desert and some other part, which are actually so. And top three out of top 10 rivers in the world actually generated from this precipitation. One is Indus River Basin, another is Ganges River Basin, another is the Brahmaputra. So this presence of Himalaya contributing to orographic precipitation, and because of slope, is developing a big network of river network, and population started to reset there. That is how water is abundant there, and water related hazard as well. Next is glacier melt. There are 54,000 glaciers in the border of Hindu-Kush Himalayan region and Karakoram, and there are literatures that glaciers are melting, and let me summarize it. It's called the third pole. Third pole means North Pole, South Pole, and Himalaya in the Kush. The amount of ice has been accumulated. It's such a huge amount. It feed almost all the three major rivers: Brahmaputra glacier melt, Manasarovar Lake, Ganges at Gangotri Glacier, and Indus at Manasarovar again. So these are all glacier fed some lake sources. It actually generates. So around 30,030. This is the latest figure I found that Pakistan. Now global warming is melting water and forming, I mean, ice has been melting. There are clear evidence from here. You can see that 1966, 2024, ice has melted. I don't know, 1976, maybe 2002, 2022. Continuously ice is melting. And I couldn't find anything exactly for Pakistan, but in some literature, the Pakistan glaciers are melting to 60 meters per year, that over 30% ice in some areas, raising risks of floods. So this is a very important issue. And as I showed Himalaya also, 1956, 2007, there, and this is Kilimanjaro. Kilimanjaro, you can see this amount of ice cover was there, and now only this one remaining. and this one again another. So huge melting. Okay, I didn't. Okay, here also there are some studies that how the ice are melting, in which direction they are flowing. Most of them are actually flowing toward these three major river systems. Okay, so directing towards south, so that the flooding intensity may be increased. And you can see that global warming, it's called glacier lake outburst flood. That means lakes has been formed and somehow it collapses, either because of the slope of the mountain, and then there will be flood. But that is not the end of the story. There may be shortage of fresh water in the long run in the region as well, as the major river will get less water as ice will flow. That means once the glacier has been melted, the three river system will get less water during winter and other seasons. That will be disaster in terms of drought as well. I mean, there will be less water free there. Melting of water has increasing trend through positive feedback mechanism. This is another interesting phenomenon that we explain. Once ice fall over the sunlight fall over the ice, it reflects back. It absorbs less. But whenever it melts, its color is darker. It absorbs more. And then it used to be heated at a higher rate. And that causes the temperature to rise exponentially instead of linearly. And that's why some people say that ice melting in the Himalaya, and the consequence will amplify in mounting figures in the upcoming days. So another important issue is El Nino and La Nina. El Nino and La Nina are two climatic phenomena that scientists can understand or predict, can visualize through some changes, but it cannot be predicted, and it's still a mystery. We can only understand that during El Nino, the earth become warmer and drier. During La Nina, earth become temperatures lower. But which year will be and scientists also found that it follows some cycle. Few years El Nino, then again La Nina, then again this is it. And there are scientific evidences clearly that Australia, Southeast Asia, and the Ganges Brahmaputra basins, 2020 onward, La Nina years are put. You can see that this will be affected. La Nina years are often associated with increased flooding, particularly in Australia, South Asia, and so from 2020 onward, it is La Nina years, and till 2025 La Nina years. And until it is El Nino years, then we have to wait. That this is actually wetter conditions that might have contributed to flooding as well. Okay, this is another reason. Cloud outburst is much talked. What is cloud outburst? It's very interesting. That, as I told you, that all the water from the ocean obstructed by mountain go up from cloud and then fall as precipitation along the Himalayan region, and then the rivers are fed, and three river systems are fed. But what happens? Some local heating is occurring nowadays for various reasons. It may be global warming, it may be for deforestation, it may be for urbanization. So if a local heating occurs, there is a local low pressure zone and convective cycle, upward draft. And that draft does prevent the precipitation to fall. Rather, it grows in size. More moisture is coming, it cannot fall, it's going in size, And at one stage, it becomes so heavier that it falls as burst, like a burst. So that is known as cloud outburst. So this is what the scientific explanation till now about cloud outburst. And this has not only global warming, this might have relation to local impact as well, deforestation, urbanization. We say urban heat island. Urban heat island means the urban area used to be heated more than rural area by 3 to 5 degrees centigrade. If you look at the temperature profile of Islamabad versus it will go like this. It's called urban heat island. So that might also have some impact in then our urbanization trend is increasing, deforestation, land use change, that might have contributed to cloud outbursts. Atmospheric river, this is a very rare phenomenon, is a little bit different. The very long cloud, it's also due to intense low pressure with at higher temperature it may increase. Okay, I don't want to, but there are some evidences that in South Asia, particularly India, there might be some for 5 or 10 days continuously raining, because the long it's a phenomenon in California. It's also called Pineapple Express or something like this. There is flying rivers. Okay. Now some GCM output, that what it is going to be the precipitation change followed by. Those who are have some idea about the term GCM, general circulation model, there are a number of models. There are about 40 models globally. The 33 models output has been combined together, is we call ensemble, and then under this project, and then they projected it for 2041-60. The medium period, which is reasonably very close. And these are called scenarios, 5, 8.5, the worst scenarios. I don't want to go detail, but just have a look. Can you see that total precipitation increase will be the mid of Africa and this part? That means the Pakistan and the upper part will be very, very confidently positive, high agreement. If there is a dotted shaded line, then low agreement, high agreement. Here the precipitation may increase. There is positive precipitation. This is negative. This is positive. So there will be increase in precipitation. And what about 1 day maximum precipitation? This is also positive and even more positive. 5 day. This is also positive. So this also gives some bleak future that in future precipitation cloud outburst this may aggravate in the region. Okay. Next, temperature change. This is also 34 model output. General circulation model. It is very interesting that this is red, nowhere is blue. I mean, there is no decrease. Temperature is increasing, will increase. And you can see that over Himalaya and this part, in the mountainous region, the temperature rise will be more than normal part. And this may cause glacier outburst further aggravated. Mean temperature, then again maximum temperature, minimum temperature further increase. That is, there will be no freezing day maybe, and like this. So this outputs clearly I summarized in some. Anyway, I don't want to go detail. You can have a look that what are the scenarios, what are the baseline period, and then how Pakistan will be affected. We did some figure. It is a good scenario, it is a bad scenario. In good scenario, still mid-century, 8%, late century means 2100 or 12%. And bad scenario up to 25. Then 8 to 25% increase, which is consistent with evidence from Codex and IPCC also almost 8 to 25, let's say, percent possibility of rising, precipitation to rise, the volume or amount intensity to rise. And I don't want to go detail, which are almost all cases, the temperature and precipitation cases are they're mentioned with confidence. Okay, confidence level, they have some lack of confidence in some cases. That mean precipitation, high confidence, heavy precipitation, high confidence, landslide, less confidence, like this. Okay. Now, very important thing is what we can do. I think the regional cooperation is very much needed. I talked to the Professor Iqbal sir as well, that coordinated warning system. If you can develop some better warning system among all the countries together, that might be interesting. General circulation model output analysis should be downscale. Downscale means general circulation model output when gives a global picture of temperatures in a different region. It may not be as accurate. It gives some very general idea. But if you like to focus on a particular country, then you have to put in the model some undulation of land, water bodies, vegetation further precisely. And then you can get more precise value. It's called downscale. So entire South Asia, again, downskilling, climate warning cannot be in one country alone because the air flows from one country goes to another country. At least for the countries the southern side of Himalaya and South Asia, they all have almost same climatic pattern, so they should have support. Regional Center for Flood Risk Management may be an interesting idea. There are already some institutes, and one is SARC Meteorological Research Center. Nobody knows about it. It was in Bangladesh and now in Delhi, but I don't know what they're doing. Maybe there is nothing. Nobody knows. ICIMOD is an international organization in Nepal, but that may also function in a better way to look into the issues, because this particular its concentration is on mountain. Mountain means glacier melt, temperature change, what will happen, how the rivers will feel, landslide. These issues they can consider. So data regional cooperation is one of my suggestion for South Asia overall. Now the case study of Bangladesh. I just want to give you a brief overview of how Bangladesh is vulnerable and what Bangladesh is doing. Let's say Bangladesh development is taking place little bit newer. Pakistan, Islamabad developed long before, but we have just started to develop metro and other things. Economy is also flourishing. Fortunately, they say that our per capita income, our GDP is around $3,000 maybe. But unfortunately, the natural disaster is a common almost every year. Almost every year, our economy has been affected because of natural disaster. You see, these are because the roads are dilapidated or deteriorated almost every year. A huge amount of maintenance cost every day. Bridges are broken, agricultural area affected, river erosion, and so on. How it affect economy? Let's say one big flood, 1998, 2004 flood, two big flood. One big flood contributed to 4.7% of GDP. Another big flood contributed to 3.4% of GDP. It's a little bit older, but there is a newer year in 2015 by Asian Development Bank. They also found that percent area flooded in Bangladesh and versus its GDP loss from different figures. So it has a significant contribution in economy. I told you that climate change development and disaster nexus. And here you can see that this is the poverty map of Bangladesh. Okay, poverty map. The darker is bad condition. This is the disaster map of Bangladesh. And you can see that the disaster prone areas are poverty stricken as well. So poverty and disaster intertwine, they feed each other. Okay. So it's very important for the economic development of the country. We need to address this issue. And hydrological disaster almost entire country, some sort of hydrological. And you can see the flood occurrence in different years. There are some big floods in very recent years, red ones. 68% country inundated, 61%, 42%. And if we consider the average area inundated, it is much higher than 1987. Before 1987 versus after the 1988 flood was very big flood. The average area inundated has been increasing day by day. Now in Bangladesh, one of the major reasons is that our precipitation nature. Asian monsoon caused for huge precipitation during June, July. On the other hand, December, January, February, we suffer from drought. We have huge fighting with India regarding water sharing. Farakka barrage, Tista barrage, we have agreement and so and so. But unfortunately, we do not have, and unfortunately, we do not store water because we have no mountain at the top. Mountains are in the Indian. That's why we cannot store water. And what about climate change figure? You see, it's called December, January, February, and this is June, July, August precipitation. As per climate change scenarios of NAPA, National Adaptation Program of Action, they say June, July, August precipitation will increase 6 to 12%. I think percent. But December, January, that means more flood, more drought. I mean, June, July, August precipitation means flood. December, January, less precipitation means more drought. Another few other study also found the same. IPCC third assessment report, World Bank report, and many others. And some IPCC report says that 2-degree rise in temperature may cause for 25% increase in flooding in Bangladesh. And one of the 6 hotspots that IPCC in one report actually. Now, to explain it, this is very important to mention that around 90% of the water that passes through Bangladesh are actually generated outside the country. You see, this is Ganges Basin. This is Ganges Basin. Which part belongs to Bangladesh? Only a small part. So any precipitation occurring in India, Nepal will ultimately pass through Bangladesh. This is Brahmaputra Basin. A large part in China as well, Tibet. So any precipitation or rainfall occurs there ultimately. So that's a big problem for Bangladesh, that we have no control over that water. And it's just like this, that all water ultimately passes through the country. And also there are 2 major basins, Ganges Brahmaputra Basin and Indus Basin. You can see that is the large part compared to the surrounding areas. So that water from all parts enter into this region. And we have transboundary river. Out of 59 rivers, these 3 are actually we share with Myanmar. The remaining all are actually we share with India. And that is a big problem that we have, water sharing problem and other issues as well. And we have floodplain. That's why it's difficult to build dam reservoir. We cannot do any build. This mountain. And after mountain, the floodland in Bangladesh. Small hillocks are there in Sylhet, and hill tracts there are some hill areas, but this cannot we cannot build any dam along this major river, Brahmaputra. Sea level rise is another. Just I want to see this, that we have simulated. We have done some simulation that 1 meter rise in sea level, 2 meter rise, 3 meter rise, how much area of Bangladesh will go underwater. This is the area will go underwater due to 1 meter. This is 2 meter, this is 3 meter, this is 4 meter. And say it says that 1 meter rise may cause for around 17% of the country go underwater. And 1 meter rise, many people say that is very probable. 2 meter may be unexpected, but 1 meter is very probable. And already started. And let's see. And sea level rise, and again some deltas were considered as the most dangerous or most severely affected. One is there is Ganges Delta, another is Nile Delta, another is Mekong Delta. But fortunately, as I can see, that IPCC report says Indus will be medium, not as anyway, but it depends on geographical. We have some predictions, as I told you last time, SARC Meteorological Research Center. And their prediction is 60 centimeter rise in sea level expected by 2021. NAPA says 90 centimeters. So it between 60 to 90. As I told you that 1 meter in 100 years is a common practice, but it may rise up to this. And we have evidence. You can see there's some part of the country already there are evidence that sea level is rising. Okay, and small islands are being inundated and so flooding, tidal flooding intensity is higher nowadays and so. And salinity intrusion has been increasing day by day. The area which are being affected by salinity, as I told you that this part is very low lying and salinity level is increasing. Cyclonic storm surge is another that affecting our coastal zone. Cyclone can only occur when sea surface temperature is greater than 20. So it's a completely temperature sensitive naturally. You can see each line is one cyclone, and it occurs along the tropics. There are some meteorological phenomena, that's why I'm 0 degree, no cyclone. But for Bangladesh and Bay of Bengal, what happens, whenever a cyclone hits, its destination is toward Bangladesh. It's very interesting because the shape is like this. And when the area is squeezed, its height increase and velocity increase. It's a continuity equation of if you have a bathroom tape, you push it, its velocity increase. You compress the area, it's become more disastrous. And every cyclone in Bangladesh is associated with storm surge, which may not be the case for typhoon in Japan or hurricane in so that's why coastal flooding is also an important factor. And temperature of Bangladesh is increasing day by day, and there is evidence. This is the observed data. Observed data, you can see that it's clearly indicate an increasing trend. And cyclonic intensity, what happened? You can see that 1989, before 19, there was no category 4 cyclone. Category 4 cyclone has increased tremendously after 1990, continuously after that. That the cyclone. And another study says the 2-degree rise in temperature in the Bay of Bengal, which the intensity of cyclone, which was 131 kilometer per hour, may rise up to 251 kilometer per hour. So that may cause coastal flooding also aggravated in sea level. And now management practices, what can we do? Now, if we want to manage flood or any natural disaster, as I told you, that we have to address all the 3 dimensions. Then let's say, if for any reason, climate change, natural hazard increase, if population increase, infrastructure increase, if vulnerability increase, people become less aware more, then the white area, then present disaster risks will increase to this red area with increased risks. Okay. On the other hand, if we can somehow reverse climate change and the hazard decrease, people are not exposed to the river. People are not exposed to the river. That means the exposure decrease. If people are made more robust, then the risks will decrease. So in 3 dimensions, we have to address the issue. So this is a very important issue. As for example, for exposure, let's say a zone that is flood prone, but people are unaware of it. So if you can define that this area is flood prone and let people move from these are danger zone. So let people move from this area or avoid them to be upcoming flood. That might be one approach of managing exposure. Similar, so we can say that this is the understanding of exposure. This is a village. After a cyclone, lots of people and houses has been affected, but there is no exposure. So no damage, nothing. Okay. Human infrastructure, crop, biological community, these are the. On the other hand, the vulnerability. This is vulnerable, this is not vulnerable. A cyclone is coming. This community is less vulnerable. This community is more vulnerable because its capacity is to protect against flood is low. So we can either make E equal to 0, that means exposure 0 and risk 0, or V equal to 0 and risk 0. So this is 2 ways we can address. If we have no control over the natural event, if we have no control over it, either we become stronger to protect against it, or we remove the area. So this is very good. And we have some article. I have some article that there is a saying that what should we do? Should we construct dam, barrage, etc. to protect, or should we take some precautionary measures? There is a debate going on in Bangladesh as well. Now, historically, there are 3 regimes, 3 different ways of thinking. Initially, people used to think that flood control. But later they say, no, flood cannot be controlled. It's a natural phenomenon because water from south will always try to reach up to the Bay of Bengal. You cannot prevent it. And how can you do it? Control it. Then they said, okay, then it's called controlled flooding. They said, no, this is also aggressive. Better is living with flood. This is the most environmentalist view of control. But we cannot say that always we will not do anything. Sometimes we need to build embankments, sometimes we need to build dam and protection measures, but this should be under different categories. But this should be properly assessed. For example, structural measures can be dam reservoir, retaining basin, embankment, improvement, tracing, floodway. Non-structural, these are all preventive, like catchment management, afforestation, plantation, flood forecasting, flood fighting, flood proofing, flood plain zoning, evacuation and shelter management. Evacuation management, I will show you some example. In Bangladesh, actually, structural measure is very difficult. This is floodplain, and you see our river network. Can you build an embankment to every river? It is almost impossible. And how can you control this thing? If you build an embankment here, you are actually preventing the flow of other tributaries. So for our case, it's very difficult. But again, in a broader aspect of climate change, we say that there are two regimes. One is mitigation, the other is adaptation. Mitigation means climate change should not occur. Let's say we are using renewable energy. That means reducing greenhouse gas emission. And ultimately climate change will not occur. This is very preventive, mitigation. Adaptive means we didn't do anything, greenhouse gas emission occurred, temperature rise, global warming happened, climate change, and flood increase. Now what we can do? Now our option is like we can raise our house, we can crop shift, better warning system, cyclone shelter, or polder and embankment. This might be given. So nowadays, in the climate change regime, this part belongs to the developed country. They actually they are the main culprit of emission, but ultimately the impact goes to our countries like us, and we have no option but to adapt to the changing condition, like cyclone shelter, flood shelter, better warning, crop shift, raise, and Bangladesh in terms of cyclonic hazard could show some example improvement. Like after some cyclones, devastated Bangladesh constructed lots of cyclone shelter around the coastal zone. Every dot is a cyclone shelter. Cyclone shelters look like this. This also means storm surge in cyclone shelter. And with the increase of number of cyclone shelter from 132 to up to 6,500, the number of death, this is in log scale, which was 1,50,000 or several, that has reduced significantly these bars to 100 or below 100. So the life loss could be reduced. We are very much effective in terms of it. Not only this, we have constructed some flood shelters. Let's say the same flood shelter during monsoon and during winter season. So what we did, we just kept open the downstream so the flood water can go. And we have some flood forecasting and warning center where every dot means every river stations. And if you click, then you will get the data like this. These are the observed data of last 1 day or 2 days. These are the forecasted data for the next one or 2 days. So these sometimes give people some sort of understanding, and there are some danger level for this. If it goes beyond this line, it's danger. If it goes beyond this line, like this. And I myself is involved in developing some low-cost water sensors with mobile flood warning system for Bangladesh as well. We worked on it, and also I was involved in another project with Asian Development Bank, where we actually made risk atlas based on the hazard, exposure, and burnout. For entire Bangladesh, we prepared those risk map for different types of disaster, for cyclone, for flood, for river erosion. That this district is highly vulnerable for cyclone. This district is less. It gives some sort of preventive measures. That okay, at least people can keep away from those sites. And not only this, there are some policy documents, and where those things are emphasized, the directions have been given by Climate Change Studies and Action Plan, National Adaptation Program. I told you that adaptation means we have to adapt to the changes, and then National Plan for Disaster Management, Delta Plan, and so on. And most interesting thing is the DPP, Development Project Proposal Manual. This is, if you propose a development project to the government, like I want to build a road, you first prepare it in the DPP, a DPP of it, Development Project Proposal, with different sections and subsections. Now, then submit it to the Planning Commission. If Planning Commission accepts, then Prime Minister accept, and then it implement, or something like this, big project. This is called manual. Now, we have made it mandatory that there should be some feasibility study, and that should include environmental, climate change, disaster risk analysis, 5.1 and 5.2. That means every project should be analyzed against natural disaster. And EIA and DIA should be there. Not only environmental impact, there should be a disaster impact as well. EIA is very common. Without EIA, big project cannot be passed. But we say no. More than EIA, we need DIA, disaster impact assessment. It's a very new thing. That means how the project is prone to disaster and whether the project can aggravate in a disaster. And disaster, how I can make the project disaster resilient. So that is and the steps of DIA has been explained in our guideline. And if you and different other sections also, risk analysis and recommendations and all these things, we made a web platform that I gave the project type and then location and then so and so. It will give you some guidance how the project should be, what kind of measures should be. It's called DRIP, Disaster and Climate Risk Information Platform. Now I'm at the last stage that I explained Bangladesh because I hope I will study Pakistan as well in future if I have time for South Asia. Now a good practice in China, small city, the urban flooding is very much dominating. They was causing even more hazard in South Asia because urbanization trend is increasing. It is said that by the year 2050, maybe 40 to 50% or even 60% people will live in the urban area. So the resource exposure has been increased. That means if a flood occurs, it happens that unfortunately the urban areas are developed completely unplanned. And we have covered the entire area, so there is a precipitation, it cannot go down, everything goes to the drain and then it's clogged. So, and as I told you that only in some small urban areas, 60% of the people of the region will live, it is causing serious economic consequences. Because there is no flood, it happens in Dhaka, there's no flood in Bangladesh. But Dhaka after one day clogged for at least 10 hours. This is simple precipitation because urban flooding. And its economic loss is huge because the entire country, around 25% contribution of economy is from Dhaka alone. So exposure is importance is very much. So what China did, China had problems like this. They said, no, there should be a city like sponge city. Sponge means the city will be as like a sponge. There will be precipitation and everything will be absorbed. So there will be no runoff. So there is no question of. So they tried to improve the sponginess of the city. And they have taken 30 Chinese cities and received billion in their currency. What they did, green roofs, constructed wetlands, increased tree cover, permeable pavements, which is very advanced thinking. Permeable pavements means road constructed in a way so that water can penetrate through it. It's a very interesting phenomenon. Okay, so let me show you some figure of China's. This is a Chinese town, how they converted wetlands. You can see that this is a parking area. You don't need to cover it with concrete. You can see this is porous so that water can penetrate. In Bangladesh, in Pakistan also maybe, there is called floor area ratio. Means if you build a building, as per city authority, you have to keep 40% area open. But nobody keep it open. They keep it open but covered it with bricks. And then it has no meaning because it is not allowing the water to penetrate through it. Its purpose is to allow water to contribute to the groundwater and reduce the water. And you can see here, the road has been constructed in a way, or at least walkway, that below there is water bodies and then people move over it. So water bodies, conservation of water bodies. They build new water and you can see the permeable pavement. Somebody is throwing water has been absorbed. So these are some very, very interesting techniques. And it is a severe, I can show the condition of Dhaka that, okay, let's see first that how if a natural area has been covered, then how the runoff means the water that flows over. And 50% water goes down into the groundwater. And now converted in the city area, extensively city area, 75 to 100% impervious surface. What happens? 50% converted to 15%. and runoff 10% converted to 55%. So more runoff, so drainage congestion. So this is what happening to Dhaka. This is the Dhaka groundwater table. It decreasing, 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 and decreasing. It is 2013. I hope it decreased further. How much? Up to 140 meter below. That means 500 meter below. And which part of Dhaka is suffering from what? There is also here. This part is severely affected. North south is somewhere else here, and then the entire Dhaka groundwater level is decreasing day by day. So this is what the idea of sponge city is very important. That sponginess of the sewer, and this is also important because economic activities are concentrated in the urban area nowadays in South Asia. So summary. Summary, I should say that flood in South Asia is almost unavoidable, but we can minimize the impact somehow to some extent. And climate change scenarios shows that it may aggravate further. And Asian monsoon will be aggravated and some other things. And I also mentioned that why it amplified and debate on how can we manage it, structural measures. But most important thing is we need regional cooperation. Somewhere like the River Commission, riparian countries, better warning system through regional cooperation. These things should be emphasized, and policy measures should be very clear, understanding the future. The urbanization trend should be considered very seriously because more people are living in the urban areas, and so good practices like Spawn City, this may be practiced. And last but not, regional center for excellence for flood study may be set up, as I told you. So thank you so much. Thank you. I think we have-
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your beautiful presentation and grateful contributions. If do you have any question, you can ask through hand. So His Excellency will explain it. If there is.
Oh, there is some, 77%. My students are participating. Oh, maybe 5 minutes or
No, there is no question, sir.
Okay.
But I have one question, sir, to you.
Okay.
So how can we get rid of this? And do you have any suggestion or best practical method?
How to get rid of is not an easy task.
Yes.
It should be, as I told you, there are 3 diagrams.
Yes.
I mean, it's not the one issue.
Okay. Yes, sir.
There is an expert, I forgot the name in Pakistan. He always said that we should not be, whether the Kalabagh Dam should be constructed or not. There is a difference. Okay. Now, of course, structure, if we have enough money, we can go for manage it like Netherlands.
Okay.
Netherlands is an example of technological marvel to counter water related problem. But economic factor is also and complexity. Lots of people, lots of it should be in a very thoughtful manner and area specific. In Bangladesh, whenever there is a flood, in 1988, we plan for flood action plan. It's called FEP. You don't know because you are young. But I was the college. Flood action plan was supported by Netherlands. And they gave some suggestion, then Bangladeshi people started to protest. No, we don't want this type of suggestion. Because this is not Europe, we cannot do this. So it should be indigenous. The people of this area should understand and try to then we amount of that foundation plan because it was mostly of the build this store here. Because we cannot maintain those vegetables and they are using sometimes this. So it should be very prudent. There is no one plus one equal to two solution.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your beautiful question.
Yeah.
I live near Calabar and previously. That's my home district. In the summer, a lot of flood, and majority of the water is lost and goes to Karachi, in the ocean. And in the winter, there is no water. I've seen my own. What you suggest that we should make the reservoirs or the construct the Calabar dam because this is critically true. What is your opinion about his advice?
Well, I cannot provide you opinion with just with my YouTube knowledge. Before coming to Pakistan, I have seen some YouTube video on this. Because I was prepared only this. There should be proper assessment because sometimes environmentalists nowadays are very much active. They don't like that. Environmentalists don't like that because they're against them. Because it destroys a large area ecosystem, biological diversity, people might be affected. But if you think it is economically viable, it can store enough water and somehow you can manage, there is question of sedimentation into the dam. How much water you can store and do you have the technical capability to maintain it? Can you flush the sediment properly so that the capacity of the it should be very prudently, very after a good feasibility study, after a good environmental impact assessment. If you think it's okay, it's okay. I told you in Bangladesh, South Asia, all cases, the current is like this. There is a season with very there is it. It is not the case in Malaysia and Singapore. In Singapore, all the years same precipitation. So there is no problem. For our case, some simulation was used. So if you can store that water, use it during dry season. And two purposes. One, reduce flood, then provide water during dry season. But flood management through dam is very complex. There should be some standard regulations too. Japan is like this, a narrow country with mountains in the middle, and then if every river, if there is no rainfall, it will be dried up within one or 2 days. Because water, the property of water is that it will go down. And if it is only the 30-40 kilometer long river, it is narrow country, then water will all wash up to the sea. So every big river they have constructed there. Because this is a rich country in technological, and they store water and they control flood. What they do during every month, they empty the dam. Why? This should be known because rain is coming. If your dam is filled up and rain is coming, it has no benefit. So regulations, there should be use of artificial intelligence as well. It should be connected with warning system. If you can forecast that after 5 days the rain was coming, then if there is calabar there, empty the dam. So that that rain can be accumulated here before 5 days before that. Then you flush out the water and then a rain comes, then the water can be stored in there. This type of very sophisticated technique should be.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Your question and answer session. And now I have the honor to invite, I would like to invite His Excellency Coordinator General of OIC Comstech, Professor Dr. Mohammad Iqbal Chaudhry, sir, Mustafa Prize Laureate and a distinguished professor to deliver his closing remarks.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Brother Siraj, for truly fascinating presentation. I must say that the content and the way you present it is just absolutely wonderful. It has enriched all of us for a better understanding of some of the most difficult things. This is truly one of the most beautiful presentations I've heard in recent past. I think there are two take-home messages. Number one, that the gravity problem is not, any country to handle it. The gravity is so severe, and the problem is just too complex that countries like ours cannot handle it. So it is that it's purely impossible that we mitigate or do whatever. It's very, very difficult in that it is a problem which can only be handled through coordinated and sufficient global efforts. Number two, I think is that's what he has mentioned briefly. He could have really discussed that more profoundly and more in depth. But I think it was holistic in a nature that the environmental hazards which we suffer today vulnerabilities to disaster, everything is originating from somewhere else. Rapid industrialization, often wasteful industrialization, which has its own root in colonial time, has really made that impact so profound that we live in a world which is so unpredictable and very difficult. So somehow is extremely important that the problem is solved from its root, and that the countries who are responsible of this mess which they have created and which we all suffer, they have to be more responsible. They have to take immediate, quick, sufficient actions to make sure that the global environmental impact is not much affected, and that somehow we should be able to mitigate, and somehow we need to be, at some point of time, reverse that train. It's just a dream because they're not willing to compromise on their lifestyle. The consumption pattern is what they make them rich, and countries like ours continue to suffer. But I think this global dialogue and this science which has been presented, IPCC is an extremely important platform. We can convince people on the basis of solid science, which you do, and you have contributed. You can only convince them through logical, evidence-based data. And that is, maybe at some point of time, they'll be able to understand that we are the last generation to reverse it. And if we don't do that, the evident disaster, which can eventually lead to the threat to the existence of humankind, is so absolutely in front of us. So I'm so delighted and so happy that you came all over to Islamabad, that we are looking forward to have more profound, better discussion, that we would like you to contribute not only in Pakistan but also at the OIC level. Thank you very much, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful speech. Now I'd like to request again His Excellency to give to the resource person.
This comstech-oic portion. So
We have taken podcast.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful and insightful speeches. Your valuable thoughts and
Very
perspectives.
productive day. So many 2 days.
make sure the right issue. Okay, Rakeem, you're going to drop brother.
Yes, sir. I will go, sir.
That, make sure that before he leaves,
Yes, sir.
he should have early dinner.
Okay, sir.
No,
Thank you, sir.
it's-
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much, my dear all colleagues, to join here.
Hey, 77 people was there, but we should have just said,